Hi, it's Peg and Des on
Breaking Bad.
Okay, so Heisenberg is back. Todd strikes again in a pretty brutal way. Before we dive in, start talking about this penultimate episode of Breaking Bad, we just want to remind you guys to subscribe to our channel and remember to like our video.
Absolutely, and check out the videos on the rest of the videos on our channel.
Yeah, so let's start from the end in a way, because I think this is where we kind of see Heisenberg is back. Walt is sort of at the end of his rope. He's really sick, but he is in a bar. He's watching Charlie Rose, and who do we see on Charlie Rose but the gray matter folks?
Yes, and they are in a state of denial and cleanup. Charlie Rose asks them, "How do you know Walt?" And they pretty much deny his entire involvement in their business with the exception of the company name, which we all know is not true from season 1, just knowing the history of the show. And this clearly infuriates Walt.
Yeah,
we've always known he's had some tender feelings about how things went down with the gray matter people. However, this is clearly a problem for him.
Yeah, they just really infuriate him, and I think that this is where you kind of see Walt's ego come back up, because he's pretty much a broken man, but when he hears those guys talking about how he really hadn't made any sort of contribution, I think it just stirs up all those feelings that he's been having for months about what's happened and how things have turned out and how he's not there for his family. So it looks like he's gonna head back to Albuquerque, and we're gonna kind of circle back to where we started at the beginning of this season, with him arriving in Albuquerque with an arsenal, basically.
Yes. So let's actually loop back to the beginning of this episode, because at the cold opening, when the cleaner opens that very familiar red door to the van, we think that Walt is going to pop out, and come to find out it's Saul, who needs his life to be cleaned up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I was surprised to see that Saul's leaving, but I guess not too surprised. He doesn't really, I mean, he's not seriously safe, and I suppose the DA would be coming after him.
Right.
So he decides he needs to hightail out of there. I thought it was funny when he said in a month he'll probably be the manager of a Cinnabon somewhere in Nebraska.
Funny because it's true. We see Walt and Saul have a conversation. They talk about a number of things, but the thing that was most interesting to me is just how sick Walt is at this time, because we have seen him getting sicker, but he threatens Saul because
he tries to.
Right, he can't even finish the threat.
Yeah, and it's clear that, I mean, Saul says it's over.
Right.
And basically it's like, look, your threats mean nothing. You are a weak and broken man. You can't do anything to me. It's done.
Saul came in that room as the conscience, or kind of the logical figure. He tells them about what the DEA is going to do to Skylar. He tells them, you need to sit down on this hitman piece. It's over. And Walt
and he says that you should stay home. What you should do is turn yourself in.
Right. Let
your family off the hook.
You're leaving Skylar high and dry.
Yeah. But Walt is, you know, he's like, I can't do it. So he doesn't listen to Saul's advice.
Right.
But Saul, I guess that's it. We've seen the end of Saul for the series.
We don't know that, though. We do not know that. We have one more episode,
right.
and Call Saul may pop up next week. But we do find out what's going on with our friend Todd and his motivations in life. Because I was wondering last week, when they chained Jesse to the cook station, why was it so important to be cooking in light of you all just stealing $70 million of someone's money? And apparently Jack feels like I feel.
Well, I didn't really wonder. I knew that, I mean, he had said to Lydia, I will find a way to get this percentage up. It never actually even occurred to me that they would stop, or that he would want to stop because of the money, because he seemed to be really committed to Lydia and satisfying her need for a pure meth.
Well, we see this week how committed he is. I mean, his uncle says to him, what's the point of continuing with this? And then we see his affinity for Lydia, and the team actually makes a little fun of him for it and says it's all about this, which I thought was hilarious. So,
well, it's funny because, you know, Todd has now saved Jesse's life twice, because,
right,
you know, Jack was ready to kill Jesse when he saw Todd getting ratted out by Jesse on that tape that they stole from Marie and Hank's house.
Right.
And once again, Todd saves Jesse. And I know that it's ostensibly because Jesse knows how to cook meth in a very pure way.
Right.
But I think he actually cares about Jesse. I think that he thinks of him as a friend. I mean, Todd is clearly like a messed up person.
Right.
But I do think that he somehow in the back of his mind thinks, hey, maybe one day we'll hang out. Because remember when he gives Jesse that ice cream? He gives Jesse that Ben and Jerry's. He sends it down there and he goes, there's some Americone ice cream for you, which I personally love Americone. Ben and Jerry's. So I was like, oh, that's pretty nice.
I leave you in the cellar with literally a bucket to poop in and I got some ice cream for you.
I told you he's a messed up person. But yeah, I mean, we do see Todd with Lydia. And we find out, well, we'd seen a scene before this of Todd at Skylar's house. And that was a terrifying scene to me.
They actually scared me. So when she went, as she was walking to the back, of course, the camera angles, the music, it was all foreshadowing that something was going to happen. But once again, we see someone trying to steal that baby. I said, at this point, shouldn't the baby be on you at all times? I mean, that's the third attempted kidnapping of this child.
Well, is that what they were planning? I think they were just planning to off the kid, potentially. But Todd, you know, he's reasonable. He doesn't kill for no reason. He gives you a chance. He gave her a chance. He said, look, I need you to not say anything about Lydia.
Right.
It's very important.
Right.
Can you do that?
Skylar was very cooperative, which I really appreciated. I was thinking to myself, please don't mess this up. Don't start screaming. Don't do anything stupid. So they kill this baby, and then I'm just absolutely mortified.
Skylar has a lot of problems right now. You saw her when she was getting interviewed by the DEA or whatever federal agent. She just looked in a daze.
She looks dead.
I mean, she looks dead. She's in a whole heap of trouble, and I think emotionally she's in a whole heap of trouble. Like, this has been a devastating time for her, and the hits just keep on coming.
Right.
But we see Lydia, and she was kind of like, wait, you just warned her? I mean, that's really not safe enough for me.
Right.
Let's just chill on this whole thing. I mean, I thought she was basically setting Todd back to kill Skylar.
That's what I thought she was going to do, too. I thought that was going to be, wait, I'm not used to risk. Go kill her. But we find out, like you said, she just wants to stop the cooking until Todd says, well, I got it up to 92%, and her ears perk up.
I mean, I think that Lydia is signed her own death warrant with her decision to stay involved with Todd and to continue with this meth business. We'll see what happens next week, but I don't expect her to survive the season. So we see Jesse, and he effects an escape, which I thought was a pretty brilliant escape.
Oh my gosh.
Except it's not that brilliant.
Jesse has the worst luck ever. I'm watching this episode like I'm Jenny from Forrest Gump, and I'm like, run, Jesse, run! And
me too.
He gets caught. This kid can't make it happen. And he, of course, asks them to kill him. Come to find out, they decide to kill someone else.
There are fates worse than death, people. And Jesse is in the middle of one of those fates.
Yes.
When Todd goes to Andrea's house, I have to say, this is a part of the show that I didn't necessarily, I can't say enjoy because none of this is that enjoyable. I mean, it's a great show. It's fun to watch. I don't know that I agreed with the decision to kill Andrea from a plot perspective. I didn't really think it was that necessary. It felt a little gratuitous to me. I just didn't, we already get it. Todd is a horrible person and he has no conscience. We get it. Jesse is the worst luck in the world and he can't catch a break and bad things happen. I get all of that. I get that, you know, the repercussions of what Walt has done filters out all over the place. I've already gotten those points. I don't know that I need to see Andrea die over it.
Well, I think that was the show's way of escalating, because something had to be escalated with respect to Jesse, right? Because at the very beginning of the episode, we see the whole crew is ready to kill Jesse based on the confession on the tape. That is cut off by Todd. Now you're trying to escape. So what are we going to do next? And you know, we saw the picture of Andrea and the kid very early on. We know that that's supposed to be held over Jesse's head. I just thought it was crazy how it happened on the front porch.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that Andrea should have been a bit more cautious. You know, maybe she's gotten complacent, but she did date this idiot, and bad things have happened since. I don't think you should open your door to some strange kid that comes to the door
at night.
in the middle of the night.
Well,
that wasn't a good decision.
First of all, we saw her with some foolish behavior when Walt came over. Remember, Walt came to the door with the same setup as Todd did. Hey, I'm a friend of Jesse, need to talk to you about Jesse. She let Walt in first thing in the morning. Her kid is at the table at breakfast. Then she does the same thing when Todd comes over. So Andrea is very trusting, clearly, and it was to her demise this week.
Yeah, terrible turn of events. Yeah, it was tough. I had to, again, take a break and just kind of like go, okay, let's keep moving forward.
Let's get to Walt in New Hampshire, right? Because, you know, that's where he's been spending a couple months, and the cleaner is, you know, visiting back and forth. I think we see a couple things in New Hampshire. Walt is lonely, Walt is sick, and Walt is trying to send some money to his family.
Well, I have to say, I thought what was interesting was when he gets there, the guy says, look, if I find out you leave this compound,
I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back. I can't do it for safety. And then you see him like take money in his pocket. He's like, whatever, I'm going to get another movie. Screw this Mr. Megorium's Emporium that he bought me. And he gets to that fence and he looks at that road and he goes, tomorrow.
Right.
And I just thought, man, that's a metaphor for so many things in life where you see the road ahead and you're just like, you know what, I can't, I'm just going to deal with it.
Put it off for another day and you just never do it.
Yeah, and then we see that he's, you know, so lonely that he's willing to pay his cleaner 10 grand to spend an extra hour with him.
When I saw that, I thought to myself, how can I get to where Walt is so I can spend some time with him? I mean, $10,000?
Walt says to him, if, you know, can I trust you to give this money to my family after I go? And the guy goes, if I tell you yes, do you trust that I will do it?
No, he doesn't ask, can I trust you? He said, would you do it for me?
Right.
And then and I thought the man's response was so appropriate because he's essentially saying in the response, you shouldn't trust me to do that.
Right.
You know,
well, he's going to get the rest of the money anyway, essentially is what he's saying. Right. And so, screw the 10 grand, just wait for him to die. He's on his last legs. And I think, you know, Walt feels guilty, obviously, very guilty. It's such a tragedy, all of this that he did for so his family to have security. Now he's trying to send, you know, $100,000 in a box of Ensure.
To the neighbor kid. To the neighbor kid.
And he calls Flynn, Walt Jr. at school.
That phone call went in the complete opposite direction of where I thought it was going to go. When Flynn was listening to his father in the whole beginning, I was like, oh wow, maybe enough time has passed. So Flynn has softened his heart. But then Flynn, when Walt is done, Flynn comes with it. And he is still talking about, look what you've done to Mom. You've killed Uncle Hank. Why don't you just die? That's now the second family member who's asked you to die.
Why are you still alive?
Right.
That's what he says to him. It was hurtful. And I think that's when he just totally gives up and he calls the DEA and he sits there having a drink, waiting for the DEA to show up and take him away.
And then the gray matter people.
People lie to Charlie Rose on television.
I mean, it just goes to show you how much pride. I mean, his pride was broken down on the phone, and so he was just devastated emotionally. Has a seat, sees that, and then all of a sudden his pride comes full circle. So much so that he gets this energy to get back out there.
Right. So we're gonna see what happens next week. It's the final episode of Breaking Bad.
Yes.
It's gonna be tough to let it go. It's going to be a tough one, I feel like, too. It's going to be a hard episode to watch. Yes. But, all right, guys, come back next week. See the end through with us. Remember, subscribe to our channel and like our videos.
Absolutely, and make sure to catch the other videos on our channel. We're also doing Sons of Anarchy, so if you like Breaking Bad, I'm sure you love that.
All right, everyone. Bye.